Thank you for joining us on Bees on the Law, legal talk from the boss perspective. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to provide legal advice and is not meant to create an attorney-client relationship. Also remember, laws change and differ from state to state, so this is not a substitute for seeking legal advice in your jurisdiction on the current law applicable to you. Hey everybody, welcome back to Bees on the Law. It's been a while, but Susan and I are back. And today we are going to talk about who can be exposed in an employment case, because a lot of business owners don't realize the personal responsibility that they have. And I think it often comes as a surprise when a lawsuit is filed and people at the business are personally named.
Right. I would say that how frequently I get calls of business owners saying, why is my name on this? You know, I thought I had this protection from the company, and it comes as a big surprise when they see their name listed on the complaint.
And, you know, a lot of times the business ultimately ends up paying for everything, but that doesn't keep you from being personally named. Managers who are involved, especially in harassment lawsuits, which are becoming more and more prevalent these days, also can be personally named, as well as any employee that's involved or alleged to have committed the harassment or some other act against another employee, all can be personally named. And, you know, in California, oftentimes that comes with punitive damages, and those can't be discharged in bankruptcy, and they're not covered by insurance, which a lot of business owners don't realize.
Right. So this is a kind of a scary situation that business owners find themselves in. So what do you think, Camille? What should business owners know, and how should they protect themselves?
Well, I think the way to protect themselves is not to ignore when you hear a problem or a complaint by an employee. It's to address it. And address it quickly and promptly. You know, in the case, I use sexual harassment because that's kind of where we're seeing an increase in claims in my practice. But to do, as soon as you hear about it, do an investigation. Make sure your managers know that they need to be reporting and investigating things that they hear, and that they're not, you know, immune from this. I think that good training is the best you can, you know, the best thing that you can do to try to avoid this type of claim and exposure.
Right. I find that so many business owners, they really think that they're doing the right thing by kind of, I don't know, just trying to smooth things over and, oh, let's all just get along, and, you know, kind of approaching things as, oh, you know, it was probably just a misunderstanding. And, you know, they don't want to call anybody out. A lot of small businesses in particular, they don't want to be formal. They don't want to do write-ups. They don't want to have investigations. And what I always say, you know, they're trying to be nice. A lot of times I hear that from business owners all the time. I was just trying to be nice. Well, as I always say, as soon as you say, I'm just trying to be nice, that's where you got in trouble. It's unfortunate, but you need to investigate. You need to realize when a complaint has been made. And it's not just, you know, you're going out, you're talking to someone at lunch, and an employee or somebody just kind of says something off the cuff. You don't get to ignore that as a business owner. They don't think they made a complaint. Guess what? They did. They made a complaint. And you have to take action, and it's unfortunate, but it is the world we live in, and the only way to protect your business and your livelihood and your home.
Yeah. And the other thing is, general commercial insurance policies don't typically cover employment claims. You have to get a special insurance policy for that, and it's called EPLI insurance. And a lot of business owners don't get that. It's very expensive. They're very high deductibles. And so it's something a lot of business owners don't want to do, but you should be aware of. And any good insurance broker is at least going to advise a business owner on that. And so I think, you know, part of that is having a great broker as well.
Right. Well, and listening to your broker, because they're not just trying to sell you to make more money. This is actually something that's very key to business owners to have this protection. Business owners also need to be aware that most EPLI does not naturally cover wage and hour claims.
Correct.
So you need to make sure that your EPLI coverage does cover wage and hour. A lot of times, wage and hour, if you do get that coverage, it'll cover the attorneys and defense, but won't cover your damages. So be sure you understand what's on that wage and hour rider and what you're being protected from, because it's really easy for the average business owner to make a mistake on wage and hour. It's really easy. And your damages are high.
You got it. They're big damages. At least here in California, we have all kinds of stuff way above the federal. But I will tell you, I have not seen an EPLI insurance policy cover a wage and hour claim in years here. So that may just be a California thing that you can't even get coverage for it anymore. I don't know the answer. That's something to ask.
Yeah, I think it's about the rider and the cost and what you're willing to pay. Because I've seen both. I've seen it covered and not covered. Illinois is not California, though we're trying to be. But even in Wisconsin, it's I practice both in Illinois and Wisconsin, so I see it there too. It a lot of times depends on your rider and your coverage.
Yeah, so make sure you have a good broker. That's my advice. I obviously not an insurance broker, can't give anybody insurance advice, but it's just some questions that you should be asking. That's important, as you move forward, especially as you're growing and scaling your business.
Yeah, I want to go back to, before we sign off, I want to go back to that training aspect. Here in Illinois, in Chicago in particular, there's an extra training required for your management personnel. And I've been saying for years that management personnel should have its own different training as opposed to your regular staff. Because like you said, Camille, managers can get named personally. Managers have a heightened obligation, but they are also your first line of defense because they are there. They are talking to everyone. They will a lot of times see things, hear things, recognize conduct that's happening before the owner will. And if they don't bring that to the owner, if there's just strict liability situation, like with sexual harassment here in Illinois, it doesn't matter. You don't have a defense. If it happened, it happened. So, and now you're liable. So that training, not just for the owners, but also for your managers, is so important for protecting your business.
Yep. Every supervisor here is required to have extra training in addition to the basic training that all employers are required to have. And if you want to know more about that, you should go back into our podcast history and check out our podcast on that.
Absolutely.
All right, Susan, it's been a great chat. Thank you again for joining us on Bees on the Law. Thank you for joining us on today's podcast of Bees on the Law. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast. We also welcome any comments. If you'd like to get in touch with us or suggest a future topic, you can email us at beesonthelaw@gmail.com. And because we're lawyers, we need to remind you that this podcast is not meant to provide you with legal advice and does not create an attorney-client relationship. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great day.